Hello and welcome to another exclusive interview by Recovery Today magazine at recoverytodaymagazine.com. We're first and foremost, we're a magazine of hope. Whether you're considering addiction recovery for yourself or a loved one, you're actively in recovery a short while or many years, you'll find information on all topics related to addiction, codependency, recovery, and living a happy, successful, sober life at Recovery Today. My name is Sherry Gaba. I'm the editor of Recovery Today, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing another great guest, Gabrielle Bernstein. She is a #1 New York Times bestseller author of The Universe Has Your Back and has written 5 additional bestsellers. She was featured on Oprah's SuperSoul Sunday as a next generation thought leader, and the New York Times named her a new role model. She appears regularly as an expert on the Dr. Oz Show and co-hosted the Guinness World Record largest guided meditation with Deepak Chopra. Gabby is the creator of the Miracle Membership, a first-of-its-kind monthly subscription that helps people stay committed to their spiritual practices. Her flagship course, Spirit Junkie Masterclass, empowers people to awaken their confidence and live their purpose. Gabrielle has been on an international speaking circuit since 2004. She has presented lectures at Google, TEDxWomen, Oprah's SuperSoul Sessions, the Chopra Center, the Omega Institute, L'Oreal Philosophy, and the Huffington Post, among many other notable organizations. She is a certified Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher. She's also trained in the emotional freedom technique, and she's a student of transcendental meditation as taught by the David Lynch Foundation. YouTube chose Gabrielle as one of the 16 YouTube Next video bloggers. Mashable included her in its list of 11 must-follow Twitter accounts for inspiration. Forbes called her one of the 20 best branded women. In January 2018, Gabrielle launched her 6th book, Judgment Detox.
Oh, you're reading an older bio. I'm stopping you. My bio is too long. I don't want you to keep going. Let's talk. And that bio also, I had Judgment Detox. I'll give you the rest of the bio. And then Super Attractor just came out. But I'm going to stop you because forget my bio. We don't need any more of it.
Okay. Go for it and just
let's go for it. Yeah.
And I do want people to know that. So in other words, we won't edit this. We'll just be like really spontaneous. And we'll make sure that people do know, though, about your latest book. So,
because that bio will go on and on and on and on. And I'm so happy to be with you.
It was funny. I did cut out some of the stuff, some of the TV shows you've been on, because it did go on and on and on. It's just, what do you cut? You've done so many things, and that's why we want you here. And really, one of the first questions I always ask is, why take the time to do an interview with Recovery Today? I mean, we're not, People Magazine. But we are spreading great hope. And, what made you do this today, Gabby?
That's a nice question. I just celebrated 14 years of recovery. Yes. And it's my sobriety that gave me everything that you just read in that bio. Mm-hmm. And then everything I cut off. So it's my responsibility to carry the message, to be a power of example, to recognize my recovery as the guiding force of spiritual foundation that led me here. So that's why I'm with you right now.
Fantastic. Well, I'm a believer in the law of attraction. I know, of course, you are too. And I guess the question would be, do you believe the principles from the laws of the universe are a part of your recovery story? Because I think it's a huge part of recovery. I just don't think people know how to access it.
There's no way that it isn't. It's the reason I got sober was because a part of me had a desire. There was a desire to be healthy, to be clean, a willingness, right? Mm-hmm. That's all that we need. And so that was my first manifestation, was putting that desire out into the universe and allowing the universe to deliver by being the guide to lead me to where I needed to be to get to that next right action. I believe that my recovery gave me a lot of happiness and joy and friendship and family in the program. And I think that state of joy and that connection to spirit is what allows us to manifest. So being in a 12-step room or a recovery outpatient or wherever you land, or on your own and getting sober, however you get sober, the joy that comes from that spiritual connection is what manifests. That joy and that spiritual connection is what I refer to as a super attractor, which is the new book. So, that's all a
I've always
manifestation.
felt that way too, Gabby. I've always felt that the rooms of the 12 steps is the law of attraction, because everybody in there is on a higher vibration.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
So I agree with you completely. But I guess I will ask you, just to be, for the person out there that's struggling. I was married to the alcoholic. I know that there are people that are in and out of recovery. So when we talk about aligning with this joy, how do we speak to those people that are still struggling, the families and those that are in and out of recovery? How do we talk about this, infinite joy that is available when they're in such a hopeless state?
Well, they have a desire. The person that's trying to get clean hopefully has a desire to feel better. Mm-hmm. I'm sure does. And we have to trust that that's enough, that desire is a prayer, that desire is a call to God to say, show me what's the next right step. So we have to stay in that connection and that commitment to trusting that even that slight desire to feel better, to get clean, to want to be new is enough to put you on the path.
Would you say surrender is part of that, surrender and radical acceptance? Because I know, when I'm in a really bad space, sometimes when obviously I want the desire, I put it out there, but sometimes just surrendering.
Yes.
People think when you're surrendering, well, that's not the law of attraction. You're just accepting whatever.
No, surrender is everything with the law of attraction. The more surrendered you are, the more you attract. In my book, I say do less and attract more. And that means surrender, surrender, surrender. And when you think you've surrendered, surrender more. Because that peaceful state of surrender is what allows us to attract what we need. And not always what we think we want, but what we need.
You're actually reading my mind here. Yeah, because that goes into my next question, which is, we had the opportunity to interview Marianne Williamson, I guess it was last spring, and she was on the cover, and she, obviously, you're a student of A Course in Miracles, and she was, I believe, maybe a mentor to you of some sort. I'm not sure, but I
Yes, definitely. And a very good friend. Yeah.
And a good friend. So she said in the interview, she was pretty tough on the interview, and she said, recovery is work, and many are not willing to do that work. And she was really clear about that. But then you're saying there's a way to do less and attract more. And so
when I say do less and attract more, by no means do I say that you're not doing work, but I'm saying that you're not doing it from a place of pushing, controlling, or forcing. Because when we do less and attract more, we take radical action, but we take action from what I refer to as spiritual alignment, spiritually aligned action. And when we take action from that place of spiritual alignment, it has a lot more power than if we're just trying to do. We could be doing everything right, doing, but not aligning. And we could spend 10 years doing that, and in 1 year get closer to where we want to be, taking far less action, being aligned.
It's so hard, because some people will say, but what about the idea of never give up? Just keep pushing, never give up. That's sort of the American autonomy.
Never give up is an idea that I would co-sign, but not from a place of pushing. Stay from, doing the work. Look, the only reason I'm sitting here with you today is because I've been doing a tremendous amount of personal growth work. Tremendous. Multiple therapists, sponsors, 12-step, whatever it has taken, EMDR, EFT, whatever it has taken for me to be the woman that's sitting here with you today has required a tremendous amount of work. But that wasn't something that I was forcing. It was something I was allowing. It was something that I was committed to, showing up for. I never felt it was something like a chore that I had to scratch off the list, or something I had to do to be good enough. I had to do it for my own, I had to do it to survive and thrive.
Yeah, I love that. So talk about allowing, because that's kind of a, that's a law of attraction sort of word. And I don't know if people that don't know about the law of attraction really understand that word.
We can get into a state of allowing when we start to develop a spiritual foundation. And that means that we can take an action and then let it go and have patience, trusting that it will unfold naturally, even if, regardless of whether we're pushing it or not. So we don't have to be in a place of pushing or controlling. We can actually take that action and trust that there is an invisible force of guidance and wisdom and love around us that's actually helping to support that action to come into form. whatever is of the highest good. So the best way to start allowing is to, as A Course in Miracles says, stop praying for what you think you need, right? Pray for the highest good. The secret to prayer is to stop praying for what you think you need and pray for what's of the highest good. And once you start to pray for the highest good, that's a real state of allowing. That's a real state of allowing.
It's so funny when you say that. I'm thinking of the 12-step verbiage of being open and willing.
Open and willing. That's it.
Yeah.
And that willingness, just is that humble willingness to just be led, is what keeps people sober.
What about the obsessive thoughts, though? You know, so many, even people that don't struggle with addiction, I definitely have obsessive thoughts.
People are addicted to those thoughts. Yes. There's a practice in my book, Super Attractor, that I think is very effective for this. So the first step is to notice the thought and how it makes you feel. Call it out in the moment. The second step is to forgive the thought, because when we forgive the thought or forgive ourselves for having the thought, it dissolves because we no longer believe we are the thought. We can see that it's separate from us.
I like
and
that.
The third step is to choose again, which means reaching for the next best feeling thought, reaching for a thought that we can believe in. So if you're obsessing over your finances, you could reach for the thought that you have access to the internet and the internet has an unlimited amount of resources, and reaching for a thought that feels aligned and connected and good.
Mm-hmm. It's that forgiveness piece is so important. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the truth technique by Byron Katie. It's a little bit, and I love and it's
questioning it. Is this true?
It's true. Yeah. Is this really the reality?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So often addicts, and again, the families of addicts, because I really speak to both, and we do in the magazine, is that underneath there's a lot of fear. So how can they learn to just relax and trust that their desires are on the way? Like really, I mean, we kind of been talking about it, so maybe this is just another form of the question, but.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful question. I think that we have to strengthen our spiritual faith to have that. We need support groups. We definitely need support groups, because that's where we can dissolve all boundaries with love when we walk into those rooms. Mm-hmm. We need not only a support group, but a support system, whether it be the family or a family member or a sponsor or a sober companion or whoever it is that's there for you to develop that support system. I think that we also need to remember that our willingness is enough. Our willingness is enough.
Yeah, sometimes I'll say to a new client, I'm a licensed psychotherapist, I'll say, just showing up, maybe that's just all you can do today. Just showing up,
That's right.
As a follow-up to the other question, so what is the number one reason why people don't attract what they want? I mean, is it the controlling, the fixing, the pushing? Is that what is hindering them?
Yes. The reason we don't attract what we want is because we're in the way. Mm-hmm. And the fear is in the way, the judgment's in the way, the attack thoughts are in the way, the controlling is in the way, the belief that if I don't do it, nobody else will is in the way.
Yeah, I see that. I see that a lot. People just get in their own way. Speaking of, slowing it down or, working with our thoughts, I know that you do meditation, you do yoga, and a lot of people, especially I think in the addiction community, is very black or white thinking. Like, if I don't do this perfectly, if I don't go to the Himalayas, then why bother? So what would be just a really a takeaway someone could do today, a simple meditation or yoga position or something they can do to just, kind of reframe their thoughts in that moment, because, they're stuck, and how could that meditation or that little tip help them through?
There's a beautiful meditation for releasing anxiety, and I think that that's a big block for people, is anxiety, and it's a debilitating block in many cases. And so this is a simple breath technique where you breathe in for 5 strokes. So you breathe in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your breath again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then hold your breath out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can practice that for as long as you want. In for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, hold for 5. And that practice will help reorganize your energy and clear the path.
Right. It's all about energy. It's moving that energy, because that's where the thoughts are. It's stuck energy. I think EFT is the tapping. I do thought.
That's right.
So I am certified in thought field therapy, which was the original tapping. It's a little different than EFT, but it all works the same. It's just getting unstuck with those obsessive thoughts.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that. Do you think today, I mean, there's so much amazing, like if you just look at Instagram, there's so much young people like yourself and even younger, a lot of different recovery movements, you know, like yoga and recovery, or, you know, different people coming up with online courses and or online groups. There's something called She Recovers. I think you spoke at one of their events. Do you think that all of the, I mean, I think it's all amazing, but do you think it waters down the basis of the beginnings of recovery? I mean, do you believe someone just needs to walk into a 12-step meeting and then find these other sources of hope and inspiration?
I think that however you find recovery is exactly how you were meant to find it. And whatever helps you stay clean is 99.9% of the time what you needed. So I do believe that we want to have our foundation rooted in what works most, right? So we want to go back to basics, stick to the solution. But there may be people that would be more likely guided to She Recovers because they maybe had a stigma around 12-step, but She Recovers was their gateway and that got them clean. Who cares? They got clean, right? So I don't have any judgment around any other programs or work that people are doing, as long as it's done with integrity.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and also, you know, if somebody really is severely mentally ill or really need, you know, other support to be able to guide them in that direction, you know, do they need medication?
Definitely.
Do they need
Definitely.
You know, I
Definitely.
think we just have to have some guidelines. You know, as a therapist, we have very strict board certified guidelines. So I think this is a bigger conversation, you know, so that not everybody's out there promoting their own thing, but not really understanding the seriousness of, you know, what if this person really is mentally ill?
Oh, I have been very, very open about mental illness recently because I just suffered from my own mental illness with postpartum depression and insomnia and anxiety.
Congratulations. And I didn't know you had a baby.
I have an 11-month-old baby.
Oh.
And for 6 months, I've been in recovery from PPA and PPD. And, you know, I think that a lot of people in the wellness space are shaming medication. And it's very, very dangerous.
Yes.
Because I felt that shame, and it took me several months to get properly diagnosed and on a medicated path that ultimately saved my life because I was suicidal. So I just don't say that like, oh, just jump on meds, go to 12-step, go to treatment, particularly if you're an adolescent. You know, there isn't, you know, it's not the best thing in the world to jump on a medication because your brain is still developing. But if you are suicidal or you're having a biochemical issue, make sure you are treated by a psychiatrist and given a proper diagnosis.
I mean, I think you said it best. You said, as long as it's done ethically, and that's the bottom line. What you're saying right there is talking in that's ethics right there. You know, it's not just about one way or this way. It's like, if you're really, really depressed or you're really, really anxious, you know, you may need to see a psychiatrist. And
allowing that psychiatric support to give you a greater serenity and baseline so that you can do deeper spiritual work, so that you can do deeper personal growth and therapeutic work. Because when you're in crisis, you can't go to the places that scare you. But when you allow a period of your life to be out of crisis, then you can go deeper and touch on the traumas and touch on the reality of what's truly coming up for you.
Yeah, you can't be motivated for change if you're not at baseline. Absolutely. Well,
correct.
Really well said. So many young people are inspired by you and your message. So what is your greatest message of hope that you could share with somebody that's still struggling, or a family member?
It's just a 12-step slogan, you know, stay clean and you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams, because it's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's the truest thing ever. I had to interrupt my bio. That's because so much has been given to me out of my recovery that I was getting bored of my bio. Right? So that's the reality. It's like, so much will be gifted to you if you make that commitment to yourself.
Well, what I love about your message, and we could say brand or whatever, is that you come from this spiritual perspective, and then you attract people with this perspective, and then you can reach people that may be struggling with addiction. In other words, you didn't go out one day to say, I'm going to help everybody that's, addicted. You just came up with, you shared your spiritual solution, and then all of this, you inspired so many people with that, and then it just naturally inspired people in recovery. Is how I see.
And I wrote a book called Spirit Junkie, which I think has helped a lot of people get sober, where I really just shared about my own personal recovery. Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if people know that outside of, I don't know if people know that. I think that's really important that people know that book talks about your recovery. That's very important, I think. So how can people find you, get your books, attend your workshops, and then talk a little bit about your latest book?
They can go to gabbybernstein.com to find everything. And my latest book is called Super Attractor. And the messages in the book are really about aligning with feeling good. My biggest intention for the reader is that they feel good. And when you feel good and you make feeling good your priority, that's when you become a super attractor.
I love that. Your message is so simple, but it works. And I think that's what people need. We need to just take little baby steps, Yeah. How does an elephant eat? One bite at a time. I really appreciate this interview, Gabby. I know you're going to inspire a lot of people that may not know about you in the recovery community, and the families. I think there's a big hole with the families. That's kind of what I'm trying to fill right now, because there's so many rehabs, but the families need support too. They need your message too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. You're doing such beautiful things.
Thank you.
So great. It's so nice to reconnect with you, Sherry.
No, yeah, you're amazing.
So nice. Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.